Sure. I'll talk it out.
Yeah, let's just have a conversation.
Track 3.
Better not be fucking Dave Matthews Band.
Okay. Those of you who don't want to be a part of this can leave now.
Derek, please listen to me.
But if you choose to stay, which it seems like you guys are choosing...
Derek, please.
You understand and agree to the following terms and conditions.
Derek!
1.
Derek, this is the virus.
You hereby waive your right
Derek, please.
to your own personal bodily integrity.
This is not you.
2.
I'm a license.
Per the state versus Neville Reed, my colleague and I will not be held criminally liable for any felony or misdemeanor that you may be a victim of, including, but not limited to, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, disorderly conduct, destruction of property, mayhem, and first-degree murder. And 3. Terms and conditions may change or be updated whenever the fuck I want! Consider yourselves notified.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. I got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but 2 things right now. Jack and shit. Jack left town. Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
What was that ruckus? What ruckus? I was just in my office and I heard a ruckus.
Describe the ruckus, sir.
Does this mean we're not friends anymore? Not me. I'm in my prime. Out of your mind.
Ain't it cool?
First you want to kill me, now you want to kiss me. Blow. Good. Bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
What up, everyone? DJ Anubis here with you in the Meltdown Radio podcast. Here with special guests Jedi Grand Velle and also my good friend Gojira851. And we are here tonight to talk a little bit about Marvel's Thunderbolts, 2025 release, superhero film based on the Marvel Comics. And this is basically, as I kind of stated in my own review I did a few days back, the Marvel answer to Suicide Squad going on the Marvel side of things. And both these gentlemen have had a chance to go see the film as well. One thing I can say, which really kind of surprised me, is both critically and audience-wise so far on Rotten Tomatoes, it's doing very well, like a lot of high marks, which I agree with, but maybe these guys don't. I don't know really their full context of how they saw the film, but we're going to sit here and talk about that. We're also going to talk about whether or not Marvel's on the right track, because obviously with Wolverine, Deadpool, and Guardians 3 and stuff like that, you know, you can sit there kind of say, well, maybe they're kind of getting back on the right track with their line of thinking and putting out movies that people are actually enjoying. So let's jump into this. I will be also doing a live reaction to Kevin Lambert from the Entertainment Headquarters. He did a review recently, as today, on this. So I'll actually be watching that with you guys because I have not yet sat down with it to see what he says about it. But first, I do want to check out and see what you guys think about it. So let's start with Mr. Jedi. Your first thoughts are, even just going into the film, like, did you know anything about Thunderbolts? Because myself, not a comic book nerd. I mean, I am aware of some characters, but this is like new to me. All this is new to me.
Well, just like you, I mean, I'm not comic book savvy, but I know enough about certain characters as far as Black Widow, Captain America, vice versa. But some characters I do not know, and Thunderbolts was one of them. I wouldn't come to find out about them until like years later as being the anti, new Avengers, and all that stuff. And as you mentioned before, they're kind of like a Marvel version of the Suicide Squad. Anyway, the film, I could say, all I can say in my personal opinion, this film, does something that it's been lost for a while. It's that we're focusing more on spectacle with these Marvel films recently and not dealing with the human drama, not dealing with the characters who are occupying the film. Because, see, this is the problem with, I think people get lost in some films, especially like this. They feel like, oh, we're going to see a whole lot of crazy stuff. It's like, you get that. But the thing about it is, which is what I'm glad that they do, they focus more on why these characters are here. Because let's face it, who they go up against, we're not going to say it yet, who they go up against is like, this person can pretty much wipe him out in like 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. It's science. But the thing about it is, all these characters have something that has the ability to actually thwart what this character is. And when you watch it, it's like, wow, maybe there is a strength, maybe there's a power that goes beyond, just some special ability to, fly or throw a hammer or just having, superhuman strength. It's something that's endeared inside that individual. And as we find out, this is what makes a pretty good storytelling kind of film. And true enough, it's not the best, of the what we've seen, but it does follow suit with something that Gojira was saying, like Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier, love that film. It really hammers in, showing a really character-driven film. Yes, you have the spectacle, but that comes later, but still adds to what the film is all about. What's going on with the characters. And this film does, to me, it justifies what we need to see in the MCU and what it really needs to show in terms of hopefully future films will do, because Endgame was one of those films that I can say right now did it for me, because yes, you have some great spectacle in the beginning, between, at the end, but the thing about it is what was driving it, the characters. And if you don't have good characters in a film, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna be zoned out. And like I say, this film surprisingly kept me interested. And yeah, I would say I would definitely give it a second look.
Koji.
I am familiar with a lot of these characters. Now, the thing about comics is that they're constantly telling and retelling these stories of these characters. They're constantly being rebooted. They're constantly telling different forms of their stories. They're constantly getting different looks, different costumes, different this, different that. So to have a baseline completely for them, you just got to find a place to just jump in and have fun, pretty much. Now, I've been reading these since I was a little kid. There was a time where I kind of fell off. But yeah, the Thunderbolts are kind of like a form of like in like the government, pretty much. They're kind of like the answer to the Avengers, but like they're like kind of a little bit like dirtier. And there's a form of the Thunderbolts actually that's actually headed by Thunderbolt Ross, who was in the previous film, the Red Hulk. And actually, there was talks of trying to rope the Red Hulk into this movie at some point, but they decided against it. And there was another version of this film that they're actually writing that I'm so glad that they didn't do, because it would have butchered my favorite character of the film, U.S. Agent / John Walker. They completely butchered him and ruined him, because I've seen what they've done with that in She-Hulk with abomination, but we'll get into that later when we start talking about different forms of this film, different script ideas. So yeah, they pretty much are a form of Suicide Squad, but they're a lot better version of Suicide Squad because, again, U.S. Agent is like Captain America. He's a little mentally less stable than Captain America, but he's just as much of a badass.
Actually, that's a great point you bring up, and I'll let you get back to the rest of it. But now that I think about it, you're right, because with Suicide Squad, you're talking about the basically all the villains. Right. Now, these guys are sort of frowned upon as villains, but the reality is they're all complicated. They're not really villainous. So they've had issues, but when we get in this movie kind of dives into each one of their issues, but I think you're right. I think these ones are just people that are really more misunderstood rather than straight up villains, because they've all had like one of my favorite characters is the Winter Soldier. So Bucky really had no control over what happened to him throughout the other part of the Marvel series. So it's like he was under control. He's been trying to deal with all that, but he still did some pretty heinous things under the guise of Hydra. So it's like, I understand, like, that's kind of Walker. We talked about it off screen, that guy's put into a horrible position where emotions take over, and then he happens to get caught on video doing a gross thing. But at the same time, for some of us who are kind of looking at it logically, the guy that he kills is actually a bad dude anyway. So anyway, go ahead. Sorry, I think that was a good point you made up there.
Oh, thank you. But also, Yelena, she's also of the Red Room as well, same as Black Widow, which I'm going to go on. I think this is a couple of years ago with the Black Widow review. Jedi Grant Velle and I and Sci-Fi Century did a couple of years ago. I'm going to say it again. Killing her off was the dumbest idea, and especially the way how they had the movies come out. They need Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, just whatever. They need her in this story now more than ever. Now that she's not in it, I know that Yelena, big ups to Florence Pugh. She did an outstanding job in this. She was the heart and soul of this movie. Now, she is not my favorite character, but she is the heart and soul of this movie. But she's like a close second, maybe like 1.5, I'd say, of like favorite characters. But I wish Black Widow was still with us in the MCU. Okay, I know, blah 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 blah.
No,
anyway.
I know.
Okay, Red Guardian has gone through like 100 changes in the Marvel comics. Like, he was a very competent dude. Then they kind of turned him into Santa Claus, pretty much. Which he's also a fun character. Now you bring up Winter Soldier. The fun thing about Winter Soldier is that when Cap is killed in the comics, he actually takes over as Captain America for a little bit as well, and has his own series as well. So when people were saying back like, "Well, why doesn't he just become Captain America?" It wasn't completely without merit why he couldn't become Captain America. Yet it makes sense why he didn't, because his ledger was really red at the time. It made sense for Sam to take over and be Captain America, and they put him in on his own arc to be Captain America as well. So I feel this story was handled very well, and psychologically as well as spectacle, I felt was done very well. And there's a lot of like almost Nightmare on Elm Street kind of moments in this, with one of the villains of it, which we're still hanging on to. That's still under our caps now. We'll talk about that. I mean, the movie's been almost a week up, but we're playing around with this.
Yeah.
So I was watching the movie last night. Thought it was okay. Not the best Marvel movie, but still Captain America 4. Okay. Yep, there you go. I got you.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. And I haven't seen that film either yet.
Me either. I haven't seen Brave New World yet, but this clearly is getting received a lot better than that one did.
I'll eventually watch it. I'll eventually watch that movie. But yeah. But yeah, I love all of the dream sequences, especially again with John Walker, because that shows, the duality of man and how like the trauma of like how one's work can actually impact their mind and what they can do to them in their family life as well. So it's not just, oh, he just went bad and now it's just bad guy. They gave him layers to being a bad guy as well as Yelena as not only as former Red Room and doing the bad things and all the other things just on top of that, just great stuff. I really enjoyed this movie. Okay, I'm just rambling now.
Yeah, you're good. Sorry, I'm just making my own notes here because I got things I do want to talk about. But let's talk about first our cast we're dealing with here. So, surprisingly, directed by Jake Schreier, who this is like the third film he's done as directorial debut, which is not bad, to be honest. It's a pretty big project for someone who doesn't have much under his resume as far as a director is concerned. But so we have Florence Pugh as Goji brought up playing Yelena Belova. We have Sebastian Stan reprising his role as Bucky Barnes / Winter Soldier. Wyatt Russell as John Walker, U.S. agent. Olga Kurylenko as Antonia Dreykov, a.k.a. Taskmaster. Lewis Pullman is Bob Reynolds. We'll get to Bob later. Geraldine Viswanathan is Mel. She's also a very interesting character here. Wendell Pierce, who from Hackers, if you ever saw that film, he's in this. He's always a lot of fun. David Harbour as Alexei Shostakovich, Red Guardian. We talked a little bit about him.
Red Guardian.
Exactly.
Hannah John Kamen as Avastar Ghost. This is actually the first introduction for me for that particular character. I really liked her character. Very cool
and
character.
She did amazing. She was awesome in this movie.
Yeah, she did.
And who the fuck thought? Well, we saw it a few times, even in Black Widow, that Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
Mm-hmm.
She can play a villain like no other. She's the one we kind of love to hate.
Yes.
Yeah. So the thing that I did appreciate about this, and the reason why I was making some notes is, and we're going to talk more about it as we go along, is like this movie does, as Jedi pointed out, it touches on a lot of the personal issues and sort of the dark past that all these characters possess, like just mental depression or things they had to still deal with mentally. And then I started thinking about this, like, this movie handled it maybe not perfect, but much, much better than, say, Thor: Love and Thunder, which did a shitty job of dealing with both of these complex issues of mixing in comedy with dark stuff. And so Love and Thunder really missed the mark for me on that. And this one actually did a lot better job with it. One of the earlier things I actually kind of enjoyed about this, because, again, as Goji pointed out, Florence Pugh as Yelena is the one that really carries this entire movie. But you would know this if you watched the Hawkeye series, because she was actually the best thing in that series. Like, she was so fucking good. So I was so excited when she was part of this group, and I was like, oh, thank you, God. Really great. And then there's an earlier scene when she's breaking into a facility, and we're hearing her kind of narrate some of her story, why like she's fallen into this void where her work is just becoming boring, like she's getting tired of it all. But then we find she's like talking to a guy that she's like tied up and mummed, and the guy's like, you can't hear him, but he's like, dude, I don't give a fuck what you're saying. You're tying me down here.
Hey, leave me alone.
Like just listening to her.
Are you listening to me? You're not even listening. Come on. Is your face to recognize that door? No? Then shut up.
Yeah, right.
And she starts talking to the guinea pig then. She was hilarious.
Yeah, so good at this. But yeah, we've obviously learned through this that Valentina by Dreyfus, she's the one in this government position. She's actually facing an inquiry by Congress about, shady shit that she's doing. But she's the one who also runs this group as separate assassins / thieves, or whatever you want to call them. They do all the dirty work because they can't be out in the open. This is something that we saw towards the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier, when U.S. Agent Walker was basically ripped to shreds through the public media, and the Congress said, yeah, you're not Captain America, you're ass, because you did this to this guy. Like, that was a pity party they were trying to throw for a terrorist. So they have to do all this stuff in the shadows. These are the shadow people. These are the people that Goji said get dirty in the mud. They're not the ones that are shiny, throwing stuff around in the air and people are fawning over. These are the ones that do all the shit that nobody really wants to do. But they're also being kind of held hostage by Valentina in terms of that past, like all that red tape that's there. So watching this film and just learning about the characters in general is a lot of fun. But I talked about this with these guys before we jumped on. And the one thing that really just kind of burns my craw a little bit, I know Goji's going to go off, is that you did a lot of work promoting the characters here, and Taskmaster dies within the first 10 minutes. And I'm like, what? Did I just miss something? Like, what the fuck is this all about? Why? What are we doing? I thought maybe it was a joke. I thought she's going to pop up, right? She's going to get right back up? Yeah? No? I'm going to go ahead and throw it in the Goji's face. Go ahead and let me know how you feel about this particular scene.
Give us your all, Goji.
Okay. All right. So first off, I kind of thought the movie was a little bit too comedic at times. Definitely super serious of trailers. Yeah, you're not wrong, but it did have a lot of its seriousness. It was a nice balance. It was a nice balance.
And I will say this: the comedy wasn't like gut laughing. So some of them kind of fell flat, but I think that's actually a benefit for the movie, just because they do try to tackle some of the more serious stuff. There's a scene we'll talk about later that I thought was amazing. But again, there are problems within the film. But anyway, Goji, go ahead, give me some stuff.
All right, let's rip the Band-Aid off from Black Widow and let's put it on this. Let's put it on this movie. Taskmaster, I'm going to be the comic guy. Yeah, I don't know if I should do the voice and stuff, but in the comics, Taskmaster is one of the biggest problems for street level and kind of upper level comic characters. Okay, for pretty much, I'm talking Spider-Man, I'm talking Punisher, I'm talking Daredevil. He has a photographic memory that he can just look at you and see how you fight and then copy what you're doing. He's one of the biggest problems, okay? The only character he can't really copy is Deadpool, okay? Because Deadpool's a fucking weirdo, okay? And nobody really understands how Deadpool works. The only people that know how to really deal with Deadpool is like Wolverine, because he just slashes the shit out of him. Okay? So now the whole thing, there's this big talk like, oh, it's a woman now. I don't care that it's a woman. I think it's actually kind of interesting that it's a woman now, because if they were to take Taskmaster and make it a woman, they could put it into Daredevil Born Again. They could put it into another Spider-Man movie. They could put it into a Punisher series. They can put Taskmaster into all these different things and have Taskmaster
so good.
And just have Taskmaster as this overarching villain hired by other villains. Imagine Kingpin's like, Vanessa, some shit's going down and I can't stop the devil of Hell's Kitchen. Hire Taskmaster. And then we have an episode where Taskmaster shows up. Or J. Jonah Jameson's like, you know what? We got problems with Spider-Man. That skull-faced weirdo is running around. Imagine, but no. Here comes Taskmaster. All we get is one line, I'm not here for you. And then the mask comes back over, and then next thing you know, boom, right in the head, she's dead.
Yeah.
One of the most feared fighters. Like, the only fighter, this fighter has learned how to fight like Captain America as well. Has learned to fight like Hawkeye as well. Can shoot like Hawkeye just by watching him. Hawkeye is one of the best shots in the Marvel Universe. He knows this. She knows just by watching him. It's not a neural implant, but through a mask. It's by like a mutant gene, pretty much. Can't copy. Yeah, he can't copy Hulk because Hulk is, he can't copy Hulk. He can't copy like Thor or Silver Surfer, stuff like that. But that's what I'm saying, like street level characters. like people like weapons and stuff. He can learn stuff like that. But like,
Yeah.
okay, like Thor, Hulk, meta characters like that, he can't learn those. But you're right, Sabar. Thank you. Thank you for telling me that and bringing that up. You're right. But why would you just crumble up something and throw it out? Now, to bring up this one other thing, apparently, while doing research for this movie, one of the original script ideas was Taskmaster was supposed to be the hero of this movie. Okay.
And
I like Taskmaster, and I like the idea of Taskmaster being a villain. I don't see Taskmaster being the hero of this story. Okay, so when we have Yelena, who is loved in pretty much everything. Florence Pugh is loved in anything. She could read the phone book to you, and she probably win an Oscar. Okay, everybody loves U.S. Agent John Walker. Okay, everybody loves Alexi. They probably want Lexi Winter, Red Guardian. Oh, you got Bucky. There's no way that they would make Taskmaster the main character of this story before any of them. Just I don't know. Okay, that had to be like an early working draft of this film. Yeah. So, but still, Taskmaster. I like Taskmaster. I would have loved to see Taskmaster and other things, and then just crumble, throw it away. I hate when they crumble, throw good things away. No. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, it's so surprising is that it wasn't even like the villain, like the main villain that took her out. It was like one of them, because obviously the setup was they were supposed to kill each other. That was like Valentina trying to clean up her house by saying, we just got to get rid of these people. Like, that's the whole plan. But the fact that it was just so fast, I'm like, oh my God, like, this chick didn't even get a chance to show any stuff, really. It's like, what are you doing to me here? Like, this sucks. Jedi, how did you feel about that when you saw it?
Look, I'm kind of like with y'all. I mean, I'm especially like Gojira. I mean, I'm just like, okay, one headshot, maybe she'll heal from that. We're in this bunker where they're about to get roasted, by the furnace and everything. And you think like, okay, she's not going to get up. She's not going to get up. So it's counting down. It's like 30 seconds. Like, okay, get up. That's a trope. But, get up and leave. 10 seconds. Okay, she's not getting up. What the fuck's going on? She's still sitting there. And it's like, okay, everyone is out, especially including Bob. I was like, what? I was kind of like, okay, maybe not necessarily my favorite character, but I'm like, she's part of the team, and like I say, she was in the advertising, display and everything. So I was like, okay, she's gonna be in it. They killed her off in like 10, 15 fucking minutes. What the F?
She was one of the cups.
Yeah. Oh,
she was one of the cups you could buy at AMC.
You suck, man. I didn't get any of that shit.
Well, we didn't have it either. But that's the thing. I mean, I really. Oh, it's a Berg Wolf.
Very undeserved. Yes.
But you get what I'm saying, though. When you kill off a character and it's like, that's it? Really? You mean you can't come back from that? Wow. See,
he was just Taskmaster on the cup, too.
Jeez. I'm serious. You could have left her off. Like, even if she had showed up, putting her on the promo for everything and like pushing it as like she's one of them. Like, she was never one of them. They didn't even come together until about another third of the movie. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, this was ridiculous.
But I
think that was poorly handled.
But I think that was the whole point of advertising. Like,
that, what that was the equivalent of? Do you remember Executive Decision with Kurt Russell and fucking
dude? Oh my God, dude!
The goals in the film for like 2 minutes before he's dead.
I mean, look. I was actually saying to myself, I mean, they're not gonna kill him off. They're not gonna kill him off. And he's like, damn, he's gone. It's like he's one of the badass kind of characters. He's gone. It's like, well, okay, so be it. And usually, and look, we all know Steven Seagal's, rap. His reputation. You know how he is. He was like, someone's gonna kill him off? Really? Okay, that's interesting, although I think that's kind of dangerous because he's kind of dangerous, but we'll move on from that. But you get what I'm saying, though. I mean, like I say, you kill off the character, and it's like, damn, that was quick. So how do we rise from this? Surprisingly,
Found it a bit interesting. Apparently, remember when she jumped off the Merdeka 118, which is like one of the tallest buildings in the world? Mm-hmm. That was actually pure. There was no CGI or stunt double. She actually did that shit.
Okay.
That's impressive, man. Even I wouldn't do that. I hate heights.
She did that shit. It's like, okay.
Yeah. That's pretty fucking impressive, man.
Oh shit! I remember that now. Bruce Campbell in Congo. Yeah, he was in the first 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't. Oh yeah.
I didn't remember in the film. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, he was in the first 5 minutes eating the chocolate bar, and then he went all dead and everything.
And then he looked behind him, and was like, "Oh!" and that was it.
Yeah.
Well, hell, I mean, look at the second G.I. Joe film, Retribution, and they kill off Channing Tatum's character pretty quickly in that.
Yeah, dude, like that one sucked compared to the first one.
Well,
and the first one's not even that great, but it had much better hotties in it. So anyway, setting up this story, we've got this group of ragtag shadow agents that are out there getting grouped up into this facility, which they're trying to they have targets they're supposed to take out. So they're supposed to take out each other, but eventually with Taskmaster being one that ends up dying, the other ones realize that it's been a setup. And then they discover this guy named Bob. Why it has to be Bob? I don't know why Bob's the name, but Bob's Bob. Who are you?
I'm sorry. Every time you say Bob, I'm gonna say Bob.
Bob. Did you just call me Blob? Did you just call me Blob?
No, I call you Bob.
So yeah, it turns out that Bob is somebody that's been experimented on through Valentina's science network and stuff like that. So we don't even know who he is, what he can do. But they find a way to get out of their trap. And of course, part of the movie is them kind of trying to get away. And somehow Lexi, Red Guardian, understands that she's in trouble. He's driving out in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
just, I'm coming. It's 2 days later, right? She would have been already dead.
I have come to save you. Don't go in there. And she's like, oh no, don't do it.
Really?
Yeah, she's the worst thing for her is just put me back in the box. It's bad, no.
I mean, wait, he plays that. She's like, oh my God, come on, man. It's like a father embarrassing her daughter, and it's like
everyone else in the car is just wait, and they think it's some serious threat. She's like, it's worse. We gotta keep going.
Do not worry, this limo is bulletproof. He starts playing porno music.
He has the boom sound, they're dancing. Oh my God.
What did you say about bulletproof? It's mostly bulletproof.
Yeah, he is such a trip, dude. He's we're gonna be superheroes.
The Westchester Thunderbolts.
The funny thing about the Red Guardian now, when he started out in
he knows what I'm talking
Black
about.
Widow, but when he started out in Black Widow, he started out, more serious, but then later on he's more comedic in the damn film. I was like, what is this tone shift? It's shift tone, I don't get it. But I realized maybe that's what it was needed. And then let's be honest, at this time, things were going more woke anyway. And we don't want to say that, but I mean, let's face it, that's what they were going with. But here, I think he works better here in that sense with the humor.
Well, if I'm correct, because it's been a while, his wife ends up dying in Black Widow, right?
Yes.
So I think for his character is more of he's understanding that you can die at any time. They were all assassins and shit growing up, and whatever they were doing. And I think he just kind of realized after Natasha and the wife end up passing that it's you know what? I better live my life to the fullest and try to have some fun. But he does explain that one of his things is he wants to he loves the feeling of being appreciated by people. He wants to be a hero. He wants what the Avengers have. And it's like, I like when people cheer me on. So you get that scene towards the end when they're pushing up that piece of concrete and everyone's like clapping. I was like, that's what he wants. That's what he's looking for. And so, that's the sort of that's why he keeps pushing, like, we can be heroes, we're a big team. We can do this. But this scene, when after he picks them up, is one of my favorites because not only is the piece of music great, but the minute you fucking see those smart bombs pop up on the Jeeps and they start exploding, like, yes, it's my guy. Yes, and Winter Soldier on his bike is coming down, and of course they all think he's there to save them. He's trying to capture them.
I love U.S. agents like expression. He's like, yes, and it goes on the back. He's like, oh,
yeah, and it's just like,
oh shit.
Because I'm thinking, like you say, he's like, because you see it.
That was fucking funny too. He's like, hey, look at this,
right?
Unfaces unreading bucks.
Oh my lord.
Oh god, that character is nuts.
No, he really is.
But yeah, so one of the things in this film is obviously, which surprised me a little bit because I don't think it was really referenced in the series for Winter Soldier, but Bucky is now like a Congress guy, like a representative. Like he's in there, trying to do the politics thing, which I never thought I'd see him do. Is that something for like Goji? Is that something that actually happens for the character in the comics, or is that just something new? Yeah, I figured it'd be new.
No,
because it just doesn't seem like this type of deal, really.
Also, it's kind of funny in the MCU. He's a congressman when in a few movies ago he kicked a dude into a propeller on a Quinjet.
Right.
It's like Congressman Bucky Barnes kicked a dude into a Quinjet, and let's just say they had to do a lot of hand waving to make him a congressman. Like that was Winter Soldier. That wasn't Buchanan Barnes. Yeah.
And here's the other thing too, and it's not me trying to put down Bucky, but like he was definitely out of his element. Like he doesn't seem like he has the mental aptitude or smarts to be the congressman. I'm not trying to say he's dumb, but he just doesn't even look like he belongs. And maybe that was part of their setup, was that he was trying to do something that he's really not cut out for. And maybe that's why now, again, he's gone back to being Winter Soldier, basically, to try to capture this group that he feels can have answers to put Valentina under, which is the plan. Is he knows she's shady. He knows she's got dirt and hiding shit. So he's trying to capture Yelena and the group to basically testify. So we got Bob and the gang and everybody, and we find out that Bob, he's got some powers. He can do some shit. Ends up like going up into the sky and zooming down like a nuke, and that was crazy shit right there.
I like that.
Wow. So we find out that Bob, of course, I had no idea about this character. I'm sure Goji, maybe even Jedi know, but he's what's become Sentry.
Yes.
And the one thing about Sentry that impressed me was, if you thought Thanos was a badass, this dude's scary. This dude can be really scary.
Yes.
When I started seeing people like turn to fucking shadow dust, I was like, whoa. Like I'm already thinking to myself, like, how are they gonna fucking stop this dude? Like this is like a train wreck ready to happen, because you have to remember each one of these characters has some sort of dark past, and he has a very dark past. And you're just basically handing the keys over to like the entire bomb sequence. Like, here you go. Here's the keys. We know you're mentally unstable, but we're going to do it anyway.
This is the thing about his character, is that, Gojira might know this more than I do, but from what you hear in the movie, he's had some past. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. So I didn't know that.
Well, they allude to that where Bob says he has control of it, at least towards the end of the film. But I guess we're kind of jumping ahead. But go ahead, Jedi. We'll
I'll just say this is the fact that he's had past, events where, like I say, he was living in a dark place because he used to be abused. I mean, we don't see it, but we hear it, and it's almost a thing where we see, if you ever watched the Moon Knight series, where we find out his dual personalities come from child abuse, and that's basically what he was going through, and I think some of that separated from what he was to what he is, and back and forth, so, and like you say, what you mentioned before, he shares the so-called darkness that all these other ones, that there's something that they have to face in order to kind of conflict with it. It's just something amazing, because like I say, that's what kind of made me think, like, how are these group of misfits going to stop someone this omnipotent as he is? I'm just like, how is that going to work?
Yeah, it was funny because obviously Valentina, she discovers that Bob has survived a lot of the experiments, so he's one that she can use for her glorious plan, whatever that is. But they have what's like a kill switch, and there's this nice moment, like she takes over Stark Tower, which is funny to me, but
Yeah.
she's up there, and of course the Thunderbolts say, we got to go up there because she's recaptured Sentry at this point, to kind of tell him, you're my baby, you're the one that's going to lead the future of everything that we're doing. But he's very confused. He's still dealing with like what's going on, because he tends to black out, like he doesn't even remember half the shit that happened. So it's something that he's still dealing with. So again, the mental part of it comes into it. So they go up there, and again, as like we all discussed, like they can't do a fucking thing against this dude. Like fucking punching him, hitting him, whatever, doesn't do jack. Like they're just getting their asses kicked, and he's actually not even trying. He's like, just pushes them away. And he doesn't care if you're female or not. He's like giving it out just as much as they're giving it to him. So, but there is a very interesting scene, because once he's pretty much beating them around a little bit, Valentina thinks she has the edge, pulls the kill switch, because he's like, yeah, you're calling me a god. I am. You can't do anything. You can't control me. So she hits this kill switch, and it kind of knocks him out, which pretty much would have killed him or whatever normally. But then all of a sudden the dark side comes up, and this is like creepy as fuck. Like he just turns like totally shadow. The eyes are kind of there. Almost looks, I don't know about you, but almost remind me of Nightcrawler a little bit. But how did you guys feel about the transformation of Sentry at this point? Jedi.
Personally, me, as you say, man, that is like white. Yeah, that's true. No, dude. I mean, I didn't realize how. When I say dark, I don't talk about dark of his color and everything. I'm talking about dark in terms of he starts turning people into these just. At first I thought it was dust, but it's like no, it's just shadows.
Right. Yeah, we learn a little bit later like what that really is. But dude, at first I'm thinking this is like the Thanos snap, only a lot worse.
Right. And one thing I have to bring up, and you two might know this for sure, that whole sequence where you see the shadows of the people being imprinted on the ground or the wall or anything like that, that's supposed to be a representation of the Hiroshima bomb when it went off back in Japan. I mean, I'm not trying to bring up dark times, but
it's a good observation.
Yeah, but this is the thing though. I mean, because I actually read this, and they say that that's a representation of that moment, because see, when those first two bombs, Fat Man and Little Boy, were dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, if anyone was in the blast radius, their shadows literally would freeze up to anything on the ground, the walls, or anything. They would be totally vaporized. That's what happens to a human being. It's like their body is gone, but their shadow is left behind, and that's what that was being shown there. It's like, yes, the person is gone, but the shadow remains. And I think that was just to say that whatever this person was, that dark part of them is still remains there,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that we're saying that, what happens with people in Japan, that's the thing. But no, here,
I was the same way. Like I was.
Yeah,
I knew it.
like
I
that.
knew
really
it didn't change until Yelena actually stepped in and said, "Okay, there's something more to this," because she would never just willingly do this. If they would have killed her off in this movie like they did Taskmaster, I'd have been like, "Fuck you, motherfuckers!
Right?
Get out of here with this shit."
But
I kind of figured there was something more to it once she did that. But that little girl scene, I was like, "Wow!"
Because what I say, I mean, Red Guardian rescue. Get my words straight. Rescues her. You feel like, okay, she's safe. Then all of a sudden, like, the hell, dude, you don't do this to kids. You don't do this.
I just said, "Oh, you saved her? No, you didn't." Boom.
I'm
Gone.
like, man, that was so dark in my opinion.
Go ahead, Koji.
So that is the Void, the alter ego of Sentry. That is what happens when he loses control. And yeah, that was a huge trolling moment. It's like, yeah, Red Guardian, he does this great thing. Yay. It's like, oh, it's like they're really going here with this. And all of a sudden you see everybody else is going this poof, poof, poof. It's just like, he's really doing this. It's like they're really going here. Yeah. And it's like, and like in the comics, the Void is not to be trifled with. And you get back to that fight sequence earlier up in Stark Tower, or as they call it, the Watchtower now, which that's a little bit of trademark infringement right there, Valentina. Some people at DC are going to come talking to you about their madam. Okay, but anyway, when he shows up, he looks phenomenal in the costume. I saw some earlier posts of it, but all right, let's back up even further. You guys know who was originally supposed to portray Sentry in this film, right?
I read it. It was who was it? Because I just read it.
I didn't hear about this.
If you know it on your tongue, go ahead and say it. I just totally forgot.
Stephen Yeun.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It was in my intro.
Yes, it was in your intro. Yes. Yep. So, yeah, we almost got the actor who voices Invincible in another yellow and blue suit being Invincible in a movie like this. Now, I've heard different reasons why he was recast in this film. The most popular reason I heard is that he was doing Invincible at the same time that this movie was being done. That would have been way too much for him to do. That's the most popular thing that I've heard.
It says scheduling conflicts.
Okay, thank you. I have a tendency of like over-explaining things. Sorry, thank you for saying that. But yes, Sentry is not to be trifled with in the comics or in this. And to see how his powers and abilities just amazing. Now,
I mean, you're the comic guy. I mean, is it safe to say that he's actually more powerful than even Thanos?
The way how they showed him in this, it's almost like cartoonish how powerful he is in this. Because I've seen him go up against people and I've seen him get beat down.
Oh, okay.
I've seen him be overpowered. There was a time where he fought the Hulk in the middle of Times Square in the World War Hulk saga. That's another thing about comics, which is interesting. Even if a character is extremely powerful, if they go into another character's story, that character's story has to take precedence. So they did the ending of World War Hulk, which the Hulk had become angrier than he's ever been angry, and angriest of angry. So they went and they got the Sentry. They're like, okay, you're the only one that can stand up to him. And they got into a huge fight. And they just kept on fighting and fighting and fighting. It got to the point where it came down to where it was just Bruce Banner and Bob. That's how much that they fought each other.
You were this close, dude.
What?
Piece of trivia says initially James Gunn was interested in directing this movie.
What?
But after he called it quits after Guardians 3, he went on to the other thing, so they moved it to somebody else. But like he was originally wanted to do this film.
That's close, huh? That's close.
That close.
That close.
Oh my god, that
I'm kind of
close.
glad he didn't because like his I don't mind his humor, but I don't think I don't know. This wouldn't have worked as well.
Ugh.
Well, it might have come down to, just to answer his question, is that, because the Infinity Stones were powerful. They could do a lot of shit. He could have made Sentry just vanish off of that, but you'd have to be quick enough to do it. That's the quick thing about it.
Right. But, it comes down to the right. But if there was a base fight and Thanos did not have the stones, Sentry would wipe the floor with Thanos. It'd be over in seconds. If he fought the Void, the Void would wipe the floor with him in moments like that.
And we should explain that the Void itself is the shadows that we've been talking about with people like the girl and everything. Like, once you've gone into it, it basically puts you in your personal hell. So, like, you are in your nightmares, your dream world, and you have to navigate them. So we even get to a point where Sentry has put himself, like the other part of himself, that the good part of himself, into like the safest space possible, because everywhere else is just chaotic. So obviously the plan is for Yelena is to try to find him, which she does eventually. But it's going to be a tough thing to try to get him to outdo his alter ego. And of course, the rest of the team kind of like jump in. They figure, well, what the fuck do we got to lose? We got to go in there and see where she is if we can, because they don't even know what it is. They're just like, okay, here we go. But they kind of figure it out pretty fast what has to happen. And so they end up teaming back up with her, and they have to kind of fight through Sentry's nightmares and stuff. And even Sentry has to kind of take on himself, basically, to try to win power back over his body. Which leads me to like one of my favorite moments in the film, which is a bit more of a heart-wrenching one, because as he's basically winning the battle against his alter ego, that's something that would like fill him up with hate. So whatever good part of him was getting very angry at the other part of it. And so he's trying to beat the shit out of this thing. So at this point, it starts with Yelena trying to pull him off, like, okay, you've done enough. And then the rest of them coming. It's basically a feel-good moment to where they're showing him that they care about him and his well-being, and that they don't want him to kind of fall into his own void again with the other alter ego. So,
well, not just that, but it's showing because this is something that hit me personally. I don't know how it affected you guys. The simple fact is, when you face anything from your past in a dark realm, you're facing it alone. And with him, he was always facing what he suffered through trauma alone. With these individuals, they've all have suffered something from their past alone. But when they come together, and it's the Yelena was the one who's saying, you're not alone. You don't have to suffer this alone. To me, that hit me really hard in my, not just a feels, but in my own personal, kind of thought process. Because I don't know about your guys' past or anything. Like, I've had some dark times in my past, and the thing about it is, you can't outrun it. You can't outrun that part of you. I mean, it's a part of you. As crazy as it sounds, like as much as you want to, throw it away, get rid of it, it'll always stay with you. It's always going to be there. It's the part of where you have to learn to live with it and not let it dominate you. But knowing at the same time, you don't have to live with it alone, which is why with them, they come together as a group and really shows like, yes, you are not alone with this, bro. I mean, you are someone who's like, yes, you're suffering from this. You are this malevolent individual, but at the same time, whatever darkness is almost consuming you, you're not going to face it alone. And to me, I'm going to be honest with you. I almost actually kind of teared up at this moment because it affected me a lot, because I've gone through this. I've gone through that. I've gone through that kind of hell. And, it's like, it's kind of funny how some things will kind of regurgitate and make you feel something. And this is what I was mentioned before. Characters help you to see something past just the spectacle of what you're watching.
And that's why when Love and Thunder came out, like I didn't have that reaction because it just was not well written. This one did a good job of building that to that moment, and I thought that was really well done.
But you get what I'm saying, though. It's funny how films like this, you feel like, okay, there's not a lot of this, but I feel that you have a lot when it's a character-driven film, and this one is. And when that moment comes up, I was just like, oh, wow, they pulled him back. And that's how, not so much defeat him, but pull him from the brink of, being consumed. Because as you saw him, when he's beating that dark side of himself, he's becoming that darker part of himself, that persona. So it's such a mind fuck when you watch that. And I realized when I was watching it, it's like, I get it. I get what that was saying because, as I said before, I personally have gone through those kind of manifestations of the darkness. I've had to fight these things, but I never had no one to, kind of say, will you understand? Can you pull me out? It's like, then when you meet people who actually have gone through something similar, you realize like, you don't have to be alone. And that's the thing that brought him back. Because when you see them pull him out and they're all in the street and everything, it's like, well, the void is gone. It's like, oh, they brought him out of that, and that's why I say together. And that's why it always puzzled me. Is like, how are they going to defeat this thing?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, the darkness of themselves actually helped defeat this thing, And it's funny how the most powerful weapon that they had was always inside of them altogether. And that's probably why they were probably the best. Because, you could have Steve Rogers, you could have Captain America, you could probably even have, Tony Stark or whatever. They could probably, but it probably wouldn't be as effective because as much as they might have a few dark spectacles in their past, it wouldn't be as great as these characters. They've really done some shit.
Something I do want to ask Goji though, because you're you're the guy that's kind of dived into the comic stuff. One of the references made here now, obviously, when you're making movies of this nature, and you don't have all your best guys there like Thor and them. What is the explanation of why the Avengers are no longer there? Are they just trying to help out other planets? Is that what it's all about at this point? Is that where they all are? Because Rogers is obviously old and gone, but where's Captain America? Where's Hulk? Where is Thor? Where are all these guys?
Well, you talk about the comics, you talk about the
well, they made a reference in this film that, they said themselves, like, we can't rely on the Avengers. They're not here. And I'm like, well, where the fuck are they? There's supposed to be some still around.
Well, Hawkeye is
retired because I think he's handed it off to what's-her-face.
Yeah. Hulk is... I don't want to talk about the Hulk. All right. Fucking ask Paramount.
Do you want to talk about the Marvels then?
All right.
Yeah. What about them chicks? Where are they?
The Marvels can't. The Marvels. They're fighting the box office right now, I guess. And I don't mean to pick on that.
No, that's okay. You can pick on that. That's funny.
Okay. Black Widow, they killed her. We've got Yelena, but now she's around. Scarlet Witch is dead. That was brilliant. Vision,
is she
dead? Huh?
Is she dead?
Yeah, she went splat. Remember?
Yeah, but are we sure of that? Because someone says that.
Yeah, I thought she just kind of went off to another dimension or something.
But we'll let that stay.
I guess it doesn't matter too much. I mean, she was pretty mental anyway.
Yeah. Well, they're saying that not Scarlett Johansson. I got Scarlett Johansson on the brain. They're saying that. They're saying that what's her name doesn't want to come back and do another Scarlet Witch. What's her name?
Yeah, I know Olsen. Yeah.
Olsen. Yeah, they're saying that she doesn't want to come back and do another one.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. Like, and I've been talking about that. How when movies do well, and obviously Widow was struggling early at the theater, but like right now you have Thunderbolts doing pretty good considering. But if it ends up going to streaming in 2 weeks, then that's kind of a fuck over. Like you can't really do that. Like that's hurting some of these movies because you're not allowing it to breathe a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember back in the day when movies came out, you wouldn't get a DVD release or a VHS release for like another year later. They would let the movies stay in theaters for like 3 or 4 months, and then you'd get stuff afterwards. None of this streaming shit. We're like, oh, don't worry, we're going to let you watch it 2 weeks later. It's like, what? No wonder why all these movies fail at the box office, because nobody wants to pay to go watch these movies. They can sit at home and wait 2 weeks and then watch it from the comfort of their own couch. Yeah. So no wonder.
Interesting. He says it'll at least break 450 million now. Keep in mind, what are we in week 2? Or
yeah, the movie came out last Friday. We're barely a week into this movie. So this movie
it's got like 173 million right now worldwide, but man, 450, that's kind of, maybe
that's
interesting if it gets there. I'll be surprised.
Look,
I'll be happy, but I'll be surprised if it gets there.
I don't know if you guys have seen Sinners yet, but it's already domestically made like 200 million. Okay, or close to it. So
the funny thing about this comment is that I like Sam Wilson, but I don't want to drag it. I know we're going to talk some of the Marvel stuff anyway, but the problem with the actor, who I do like, he has the problem that the same problem that the girls from the Star Wars Acolyte shit is like, you're kind of self-sabotaging your film when you come out and you say the dumbest shit. And so like,
oh, you talking about with I know you're talking about who played in Sam Wilson. Yeah, I mean, he's saying Captain America is not America. I'm like, what? What are you talking about, dude? I mean, what? See, this is. I'm gonna have to go on a rant right now. Hold on, give me a second here.
Whenever you have people that like, let's just pick on Zegler. She comes
out. Yes, thank
you.
That's what I was about to pick on. Yes,
you come out and you shit all over the original animation of Snow White, and I'm like, are you mental? Like, what is your problem? Like, why do you even need to go there? Like, if you're proud about the work you're doing and the changes you made, fine. But you're trashing a beloved fucking movie just because you feel weird about it. Like, I don't get it. Like, it makes no sense. Yeah. And the guy that I wish I could remember the actor's name for Falcon, but
Anthony Mackie.
Yes, thank you. Great actor. Great dude, but again, you come out and you trash and talk shit before the movie even comes out. It's like, quit. Worry about how it's supposed to be entertainment. We don't care about everything else. There's always going to be naysayers that try to like say woke this, woke that. Fine, but that's the way we live in now. But the reality is, as an actor or actress, just do your job. Try to make it entertaining. That's all we care about. We just want entertainment.
Yeah. That's the thing, to keep your mouth shut, because you're not there to, you're there to sell the film, not to say, oh, my own political or religious views on it. Like, don't say nothing, dude. If that's the case, then
am I right though that wasn't in the comics Falcon also Captain America at some point? Isn't that accurate though?
Give me 1 sec. I got something for you.
He might know for sure, but I mean, I'm thinking so though. I could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure someone had mentioned that he actually is, because I know that Winter Soldier was too, but I did hear that Falcon was also Captain America. Okay, what do we got?
Okay, this is a pickup I got from my store before we closed down. I got moved to my new store, and some of the. Just give me 1 sec. Hang on. Oh,
wow. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So. Oh, I love this page.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow, nice. Okay.
Yeah. Sam Wilson is Captain America in the comics. So, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. And also,
Oh yeah, cool. Okay, yeah, it looks just like it too.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Right from the show. It's exactly right from the comic. The promise is that it's how do I word this? When a movie is coming out, the only thing that should be really spoken for a movie is, hey, we worked really hard on this movie. It's a lot of fun. Please come watch it. That's all that should really be said. Okay. Don't insult people. Don't, try to make people feel bad about it. Okay. Come out, have fun. That's it. That's all that should be said about promoting a movie. When you start insulting people and start trying to upset people, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Don't do that. Just say, hey, come on out, bring the family. It's a lot of fun for everybody. That's it.
Exactly. Yep.
That's all that should be said.
Yeah, because I had heard before, even before Mackie kind of went on his rant, was that the movie was actually pretty decent for Brave New World. Now I don't know if it really is or not, but the reality is, it seemed like it had pretty much a good enough hype about it that people were going out and watching it. I was somewhat excited, but then all of a sudden, all the shit that got said off the camera, I'm like, oh no, here they go. They're going to sabotage it. Here we go. And then it just fell apart from there. So, again,
about the reshoots and all this other stuff, and then it was like the budget had ballooned up, and I'm just like what the hell's going on here? Shouldn't it be, whatever they shot the first time should have stayed there, and I'm like, I don't get why they've had to change anything. Wow.
Very nice.
Yeah. And this is the problem with some films. Like, well, if you didn't believe the first time what you shot, why did you go and reshoot a certain scene and do it over again? So I don't get that. You did it right the first. To me, the first time was the right time. And now you're doing it over again. It's like, okay, now you really going and saying that, okay, well, we don't really believe what we made, and that's the problem. Yeah. This is one of the reasons why I didn't go see it, because I'm just like, I feel it's just a conglomerate mess, Yeah, if in things about in the advertising, if you kept the Red Hulk out of the fucking advertising, it wouldn't have been such an issue for me, especially because I'm like, okay, we're going to get something. If he, knowing that he's going to turn, Ross is going to turn, okay, that's okay, but don't show him, but hey, we got to show something, So I was like, oh, fuck it.
Right. All right. Well, let's give a little look to Mr. Lambert's review. We'll see what he's got to say.
Before we go into that, one thing I wanted to talk about before the original, another original script idea for this, and this would have been dog shit, and I'm glad they didn't go with this. So I can't pronounce her name. Valentina Dallonfontaine, whatever her stupid name is. She was supposed to be trying to conspire against John Walker, U.S. agent, the entire movie. And she was supposed to get those, but that's right. She's supposed to be conspiring against him the entire movie. And kind of like getting into his head, oh, the super soldier serum that we gave you is defective. And we need to give you this new super soldier serum. It's better, and it'll fix you, and all this other stuff. So they would give it to him. And throughout this movie, he would start to change and change some more and change some more, to the point where at the end of the movie, he would transform into the H-bomb, also known as the Hulk bomb, also known as another form of abomination. So we would lose U.S. agent, and he would turn into the Marvel villain one-shot, not really one-shot, the Marvel villain A-bomb. And and they would have to take on a giant monster-looking abomination ripoff kind of thing. Yeah. I'm glad that they didn't go with that either. Yes, that would piss me off beyond belief.
I'll just mention this. That almost sounds similar to something they always did in the original first Blade film, because they was going to go with something with a giant, blood, monster creature. I'm like, oh God, thank they didn't do it, because it's like, no.
The blood god.
No, that's no. Okay, yeah.
But thinking about that, did you guys like the one of my gripes about the film is, and it's not a huge one, but
Ooh, tell me.
I thought that Dreyfus did such a great job as the villain in this film that we should have had a little more of her versus them in this, and then maybe have the whole reveal of Sentry at the end, and then taking Sentry into maybe a sequel and dealt with more of that there. I kind of felt like everything that happened with him and everything towards the end kind of felt rushed, even though this is like a 2-hour movie. But like it just seemed like we're doing all these things, and I kind of wanted to see like a little bit more of Valentina's like devious. Yeah, just more of her like planning to try to kill them more like through other means. But we got to Sentry a little bit quicker than I thought we would. Did you feel like that at all, or did you feel like it was fine the way they did it?
I was happy we got to Sentry. I was wanting to get to Sentry. If they had put that off for another movie, especially since I know what the next movie is, I'm glad that they didn't put that off. Because for them to have waited for another Thunderbolts movie or another movie after that, they would have really killed the hype. I'm glad that I understand. Maybe if they tacked on, not really tacked on, if they put on maybe another 10 minutes, I'd say, of her doing her thing, because she did very good job in this film. And she is very different from the comics. In the comics, she's kind of like an agent of like a SHIELD kind of, but like in this, she's once again kind of like a Tom Clancy villain in a way. But she's maybe a little more fleshing her out. But no, I'm glad we got to Sentry, because we have Sentry in the future now, because we've got things, as you say, at Bad Moon, as your song once said, Bad Moon Rising.
Yeah. Yes. I just gotta add what he said. It's pretty much the same thing. I mean, I'm just glad that it got to where it went. And like I say, with her, I wish she got a more comeuppance, but I realized that was her skill right there, kind of dodging the bullet. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so let's check out Mr. Lambert real quick. There are some questions I'm going to come back to for you guys after that when we start talking a little more about the Marvel Universe. But let's see what Mr. Lambert has to say about all this.
Let's get cracking. What a handsome devil that is.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the entertainment headquarters. And it is time for a thunderous review, because we have to talk about the next entrance in the MCU, which is, of course, is the Thunderbolts. And this movie has had a lot of buzz. It's been out for nearly a week now. Of course, everyone had a lot of high hopes on this movie. So has it lived up to the hype? Has it lived up to being the movie that's going to take the MCU in a new direction? I generally feel, hand on heart, that this movie is nothing new that we've had before, but it definitely feels like a fresh beginning. And that's what we need. So before we get into Thunderbolts, we've had phase 1 to 3, which was the most consistent. 10 years of storytelling, started off very slow, very grounded, then got more into the spectacle and the craziness of taking it into space, taking on Thanos, introducing me to the Guardians, then we were introduced to the people of Wakanda, then we were introduced to Doctor Strange and magic. So each entrance into phase 3 got bigger, and the spectacle and the stories got more out there. And I feel once we got past phase 3 and got past Endgame, you had 1 or 2 entrances that were very like the very beginning entrances in the MCU, very grounded, very slow plots that built up more character driven. But then I think MCU then focused on bringing you the spectacle more and the bigger, more like event type movies, like Spider-Man No Way Home was an event movie. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was an event movie. Deadpool versus Wolverine was a Deadpool movie. Sorry, was an event movie. And the main thing I noticed when it came to them particular movies is that they focused heavily on bringing in past characters and trying to keep it all secret about all the events that would transpire and keep it all hush hush, because they built so much buzz around these particular movies on how big they were going to be and how they were going to have so many secrets and things that would stand out. And I think the MCU relied on that far too much since the end of Endgame. And now we're at the end of Phase 5, which the Thunderbolts is the end of Phase 5. And for me personally, we need to go back to basics. We don't need 5 television shows to watch prior to a movie to understand what the hell's going on. What we need is just 1 or 2 movies a year that with a post-credit scene or a mid-credit scene that leads into the next adventure to bring back the general audience and not just the die-hard Marvel fans. And I genuinely believe the Thunderbolts is that fresh beginning, because it's going back to basics and it's going back to what made the MCU great from the very beginning, since Iron Man. So let's take a look at Thunderbolts. Let's get cracking. Thunderbolts is a 2025 American superhero film based on Marvel Comics, featuring the team of the Thunderbolts.
Nice. Just a tad.
So good. 1, it's the magnetic as this character, and her story arc, along with the rest of these characters, is very, very, very simple. So you have this character who...
Well, I don't know if it's because of the requirement to watch. I mean, obviously Disney Plus, if you're not subscribed, you're not going to be able to catch a lot of this, but I don't blame Disney for controlling their products, because Netflix for a long time had a lot of this stuff. And, just like HBO Max and all of them, they're all getting their own content. They're like, well, Netflix is making all this money off the stuff that we made, so we're going to come get our shit and we're going to let people watch it through our app. But I think these guys probably agree with me that some of the product that Disney's been making in terms of Marvel has been very lackluster, and sometimes they get lost in their own sauce. They don't know how they want to approach them. The same things happen with Star Wars. Like, you'll have Star Wars products that are very good, and then you have some that are just very shitty. Like, they're just not well made, not well written. We talked about some of the actors like sabotaging their own shit because they can't keep their mouth shut about their own agendas and stuff like that. Fan bases of all these big things, whether it's the Monsterverse, Marvel, Star Wars, they want entertainment. We want to be able to go to the movies, shut our brain off for 2 hours, and just have fun. But some of the stuff that Marvel's put out there, whether it's a series or whatever, doesn't live up to what people want out of entertainment. So go ahead, Jedi.
Well, now I was just going to add to what you were saying. The simple fact is, remember I mentioned before, I haven't seen Brave New World, but watching this film, I didn't have to see that film to know that, because it was already blown. It was already, brought out. Yelena was saying, like, we mentioned something about the Red Hulk in this film, so we heard about that. So we didn't have to see that film to know that, what events happened before that. And of course, we mentioned before, with John Walker, where he killed somebody, that's brought up in this film. So you don't necessarily need to see the shows in order to say, okay, this happened. But do we need to actually see the shows to say, well, what happened? What transpired and everything?
And that's actually good, because, like you said, they brought up the Red Hulk, which I knew that just because of the trailer from Brave New World. So, like, I understand that sort of kind of leads into this, but it's not necessary because they kind of give you the backstory a little bit about it. So it isn't a requirement to watch that one. But whereas, I mean, a lot of us who are like diehard, whether it's comics or whatever, we kind of like the Easter eggs and stuff. We like how it leads into something else, which is something I've really appreciated about the multiverse. But this is kind of where DC fails. They can't do that. So they're trying different things to try to compete with it. But even with Marvel, like I think we've talked about before, that it seems like it's just become like oversaturation from everything. So every time now that Marvel releases something new, like Thunderbolts, we go in with a skeptical mind, like, okay, is this going to be good or is it just going to be another shit show? Because we really don't know. And, that's the thing I've been saying about this whole discussion is that, are they in the right track? Because Deadpool and Wolverine was amazing. It did very well. It got back to what people enjoy about movie-going experiences. Guardians probably didn't do quite as well at the box office, but was still very good. People were still pretty much happy with that. I talked about how, unlike some people, I really liked Wakanda Forever. I thought that was a really great movie. It did a lot of great things, and it made the tribute to Boseman was amazing for me. So everything was done right. But then we talk about the smaller products, like as Goji said, She-Hulk. I got through 2 episodes and said, fuck off, I'm not coming back to this. Moon Knight was okay. I loved Werewolf by Night. It was only one little short hour thing, but it was great. I loved that. I never got around to Agatha. I haven't got that one. That one people say was okay, but not great. But it's, the movie wise, like the Marvels and stuff like that, they've been having trouble with some of that. Or was it Madam Web? That was the other one that really bombed. They're just very hit or miss. So we're very skeptical when we're going to the theaters about what we're going to accept from Marvel. So just judging by Wolverine and Deadpool, and then this is a promising sign. But the only problem at this point is how many people have checked out. And do they feel like the normies like me that would not know a lot about the history, how often are we going to come back to this? Now, the good thing is Winter Soldier and Yelena, they're at least familiar faces from the first couple phases. So we know who they are. But obviously Red Guardian and Ghost and some of these are ones that are newer. But as long as they've got other attachments, will be fine. And I think that's how it's going to work, because for me personally, as a fan of Marvel, I tend to stick with all the ones that I know the best. If the next film had Thunderbolts, but then all of a sudden Thor shows up, I'll see it because I know who Thor is. But if they start adding in characters that I don't know again, I'm just going to be like kind of lost. Like I might enjoy it, but it won't be the same excitement that I get with this. Do I make any sense there when I say that?
No, that's the thing, because even Lady Fat Blood and Fat Samurai even said, I'm going to take a break from this because I'm starting to get, superhero fatigue. And honestly, I had to do that same thing. I think you need to. It's like, and I don't think it's because it's like, oh, we're getting too many of these movies. No, it's the fact that they're not generating great product. When you don't generate great product, then you're like, okay, then that's kind of waning now. And that's even with DC. So yeah. I know exactly what you're meaning, because it seems like you're throwing all this stuff at us, but you're expecting everything to stick, and we're supposed to go with it. And like say, when you said Madam Web, I was like, I don't even put that in.
Well, time out. I got to throw a flag in there, okay? That's a foul. Yeah, Madam Web was Sony. Okay, that doesn't count. Okay. That was Sony. All right, that's not MCU. So I know that's the other thing we got to we have to put a little context on. Okay, so technically it's Marvel, but it's Sony Marvel. So it's like there's they're their own. It's the Wild West. They play by their own rules there.
It still sucked though.
Yeah. All right.
And then they made this other movie that Anubis and I still have to have a live stream about. I'm not gonna say the name of it, but I don't want to start the smoke, as the kids say nowadays.
All right.
Okay.
Is of course Valentina de Fontaine. She basically tricks these people that come together to become the Thunderbolts, who don't really have a name yet, but they come together because she offers them an opportunity to basically change the course of what's went on with them in the past. You know, they were all featured in separate movies as either the main villain or subsequently the side villain. So they've all had focus in the past movies is a villain that caused harm and pain and suffering in some way, shape, or form. And it's all about basically them wanting to change the course of their lives. And it's basically about them trying to redeem themselves and to also kind of figure out a way for them to forgive themselves for the actions that they've done in the past. And it's their way of dealing with inner pain, inner grief, inner struggles and turmoils. And it's all about them basically trying to find peace among themselves, each of these characters, because of the events and things that they have subjected themselves to in the past. And she really plays on that with these characters and gets to suck on them, and then she betrays them. And she betrays them, and it's like, then you have to figure out why she's betrayed them and why she lured them into this ploy, and they go on a huge mission and adventure to spoil whatever this, Fontaine's trying to do. And they also go on an inner journey within themselves, and it's beautiful to see each of the main cast in their own way go on this journey of self-discovery, try to heal themselves, try to, get over past traumas, past pain. And the performances, like I say, Florence Pugh is just phenomenal. She is the main star. You really are following her story, her journey. Bucky Barnes as well. He's now like a Senate in the Senate. He's like a senator, and he himself is trying to forgive himself and use his new role as a way to show people, you can change. You can.
Such a badass.
He wants to improve on himself, and he finds by getting with these individuals and becoming the Thunderbolts, he has an ability and an opportunity to change the past and how people, look upon them as these villains or these, criminals. And of course, you have the Red Guardian, who is just, without knowing it, is just hilarious. He's not deliberately funny. It's just how he presents himself and how he talks. And David Harbour steals the show as the Red Guardian as well. And the journey that each character goes on is, especially these three particular characters, you grow to love them even more. You grow to grow a fondness for them even more. Even Wyatt Russell's character, who, I didn't really like his character. I didn't really gel to his character in the Winter.
Now, they're clearly in the tower, right?
Yeah, they're in the tower, yes.
Do you see something wrong there?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Very. You want to take it, Gojira? You want to take it?
Some false advertising I see right here.
Naughty.
Some lies. A big pile of lies I see on my screen. The liars.
I feel so bad for her.
I feel betrayed. Yes.
Betrayal.
Yeah, right.
They promoted so much with her.
Justice for Taskmaster.
I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like, what happened here? She must have pissed off somebody.
One line in the freaking movie and whoop, in the head.
You're not,
And it's
you're
like,
not my
oh,
target. Gotta go.
that was it?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Alright.
Soldier in the Falcon, or the Falcon and Winter Soldier, whatever you want to call it. But I couldn't gel to his character in that particular movie. Sorry, that particular series. But as his story progresses and as you see him go through his own journey as John Walker, the US agent, you generally I changed my opinion of him, and I changed how I felt about his particular character.
Well, that's sort of what the point of the series was, though, because they wanted you to hate John Walker, because the idea was that nobody could fill in Roger's shoes. And so, because if I recall at the beginning of that, Sam had said, you know what, no one's going to be Steve Rogers, so he didn't want the shield. He gave it back. And then, but the government said we need like some sort of emblem or icon to match what Steve Rogers did. And even though Steve Rogers like was superhuman, that was sort of John Walker was supposed to be this like American hero, gonna put him up there as the face, as Captain America, but it was already a tough sell because he wasn't superhuman. He was just a regular soldier.
Yeah.
And that leads to like the serum and everything down the road, because he understands that no one's going to take him seriously unless he's got that strength that Rogers had.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, by the end of it, people hate him because he's not the clean cut American boy that Rogers was, even though we all know that Rogers has red tape too. Yeah. No one's perfect in as far as like the heroes go.
No, but that's the thing. Go ahead, Jerry. You probably got something better to say.
Well, yeah, I mean, John Walker is a combat vet, and he's also the peak of the human, not perfection, peak physical condition as well. And he was also flinging that shield just like Cap was before the serum. And the thing about Captain America is when he got the serum, it actually rewired his brain a little bit as well, to where his brain actually became like a pool table pretty much. So where he could actually, like, it was like geometry. He could actually know how to throw that shield and know where to bounce it, to where it would always hit something and it would always return to him. John Walker was doing that shit on his own. So he was already ahead of the curve. Now, the problem is that, yeah, he came off kind of obnoxious in a way in the show. Yes. And to Bucky and to Sam in the show, he was also obnoxious to them. And then Battlestar, it's like, oh, Battlestar is your name. I was like, the entire situation was just very awkward, especially after Cap had just retired, and it came off very, again, awkward. And then with the whole Dora Milaje and it just didn't fit, and that's the way it was in the comics. Now in the comics, John Walker, before he became U.S. agent, he was Captain America in there as well, except he was a lot more violent. He just had a lot more violent outbursts in the comics. Eventually, Cap had to come out of retirement and reclaim being Captain America, and then that's when John Walker in the comics became U.S. agent. He went and did more dirtier things than that. And then here in the newer comics, he does even more dirtier things, which I'm not going to bore everybody with that. But anyway, so yeah, they handled him quite well. It's just they kind of overdid it in real life, hating him. So, but he's getting some love now, which is what's best.
Yeah, I thought his growth in this film was great. He actually had more of a, even though he was still kind of dealing with those past issues, he was probably the most level-headed of everyone there, really, when you think about it. Like, he wasn't like off the hook or crazy. He just had a dark past, and I think he kind of learned from some of that. But I thought it was just a great growth for the character in this film for him. Well, the thing you have to understand though, because with Falcon and Winter Soldier, the idea was it was always going to lead to Sam being Captain America again, so they had to make Walker the villain somehow. Like they couldn't keep him there, and so that's really the script. But again, I don't really even blame the show. I blame some of the people that tried to argue against Walker because of what happened with the terrorists. Like it's to me, it's kind of a no-brainer that despite the fact that he killed the guy who was unarmed at the time, the guy was still a danger to people. Like he was still a terrorist. Like you can't just say, oh yeah, we just need to arrest him. You could have arrested him, but the reality is if the cameras aren't there, no one's the wiser. He's just going to take out a terrorist. That's it. The only reason why it became a big deal in the show is because he got caught on film. That's it. If that happens off screen, like usually the way with Rogers did, no one cares. If everyone saw Rogers kill a bunch of terrorists, they would be feeling the same way. It's just a matter of perception and how it was done.
And that's it.
Smack!
I was
Smack
gonna say, what was
that
that?
ass.
It's like say I heard some like
Missy yelling at the cat.
oh
Character throughout this movie. I think the character of Ghost and Taskmaster, they are the weakest of the Thunderbolts.
Taskmaster didn't have a chance to do
I was
anything.
gonna say
they're
Taskmaster.
underused. I generally feel they're underused and you don't fully get they don't get as much payoff as say Yelka does and Red Guardian, John Walker, or Bucky Barnes does. The thing I've noticed with this movie is the villain's story, or one particular character's story, Bob. He's called Bob. We introduced this character, Bob, who subsequently throughout the story he's revealed to be something else. He becomes a real threat by film's end, and I feel his story is it's like a mirror to the story of the other characters. And you're fully trying to relate to him and understand him, and through their journey and his journey they come together by film's end. And it's a real amazing story. It's very grounded. It has feels of the early days of the MCU. The plot, the characters, the story, the script, the cinematography. It's not too flashy. It doesn't go over the top. It's not about the spectacle. It's about character-driven stories and the relationships among the characters and building a foundation around these new people and characters that are going to be leading the MCU in the future. Now, when it comes to the MCU, when it comes to Florence Pugh and her character, Yelena, I think I've said that name right. She basically is taken over from, Scarlett, Johansson as Black Widow. Now, when you think of like all female characters that we have had introduced, Captain Marvel for me just hasn't worked. And I'm not saying it's because of the character. I generally believe it's because of who was cast. Brie Larson, I just don't think has brought anything to the personality of the character of Captain Marvel. I just don't think she's a right fit for that character. Gamora and Nebula from the Guardians, two other strong female characters, their stories were interlinked. So yes, there were strong female characters, but their storyline and how they were perceived throughout their story and journey in the MCU was linked together. And at the end of Guardians 3, they've kind of went their separate ways. Whether we see that story on their own and they develop into more full-fledged characters is all different matter. But we need a female character. We need a character that's going to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I wanted to kind of bring this up because I know Goji brought it up earlier. Because it was in the comics, was Black Widow part of the Thunderbolts? Is that why you kind of bring it up, or you just think she belongs there?
No, she's not part of the Thunderbolts, but just to have her just interact with things like this, you know.
The only reason why I say it's because like the interesting thing, and I'm jumping off course a little bit, but we know that the Avengers is doing another film with Doctor Doom, and we know who that is. We know it's Downey Jr. And I've talked about this at length, that I think the only way they can possibly do that logically is if it's a more corrupted version of Iron Man, a corrupted version of Stark. Because you have the familiar face. You can't have any Avenger that sees him as Doom and say, oh, yeah, we don't recognize you, but we should because he looked just like Tony Stark. That's the only way I think that character is going to work. So if that in mind, because of the multiverse, which allows us to do this, would you be happy, Goji, if they found a way to bring another version of Black Widow back into the mix?
Maybe. I do miss me some Scarlett Johansson though.
I agree.
I thought she was great as the only way that I'd be a game for that is that if they went full on straight up, like give her like the full Russian treatment. You know, because in the comics, and I've seen like adaptations of Black Widow, she has the full Russian accent and everything like that. And I've seen cosplayers and other actresses portray Black Widow. Like there's this one show called Superhero Beatdown, and there was this one actress, her name's Tatiana Neva, and she did an episode where it was Black Widow versus Black Canary. And she portrayed Black Widow, and she speaks Russian, and she sounds perfect, and she looks perfect as Black Widow. So if they went that route, okay, I'm down for that. But if they were to like bring back ScarJo, okay, then you have me. You have my attention. But then again, that brings up the question of the entire concept of member berries. A lot of people are upset that they're bringing back Robert Downey Jr. as this version of Doctor Doom. Now, a corrupted version of Tony Stark. They said, and I quote, "This is Victor Von Doom." Victor Von Doom from Latveria, whose main enemy in life is Mr. Richards, is Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic,
and
the Fantastic Four, and has mastered science and sorcery, and has done a whole bunch of crazy shit, and is going to go into this entire huge plot. I like that idea. Have him be Victor Von Doom. If you're going to do Doctor Doom, do Victor Von Doom. If they want to pretend that he's Tony at first, and he's like, I don't know who you're talking about. My name's Victor. Victor Von Doom.
Yeah, so I'm not saying he should be Tony Stark. I'm just saying that we kind of saw this, and I don't remember if he had the same name or not. I think it was the same for Doctor Strange. I think he was Doctor Strange, but he was different in each universe.
Okay.
But in this case, I wouldn't mind seeing Tony Stark where he, as you said, he doesn't go by Stark. He goes by Doom. Like, that's him. But obviously they're going to see him and say, but you're Tony Stark. And he's like, no, I'm not. But as long as they draw some sort of connection to that like just in another universe, it was Stark, but just under a different name, it'll work. But if they try to just pass it off like he has no connection to Stark in any way, it's going to be a hard sell because people are going to work it up.
But like, one spitball idea I would love for one of these movies coming up, Adam Driver or Anthony Starr. Anthony Starr, I would love to see as Victor Von Doom. I would pay good money to see that.
I actually liked the first guy that did it. I didn't think he did a bad job.
Yeah, I think he was amazing as Doom.
Yeah,
The problem is that the film wasn't really that good. But then again, I don't think they really wanted to go for it really with those first two films. The second movie, they kind of got Doom a little better. The first film, not so much, but I think the actor portrayed him very well. But
Yeah.
spitballing for Dr. Doom in this, I want Peter to see. I want this Tom Holland Peter to see this Tony Stark / Victor Von Doom, and I want him to see him and actually like fall to his knees crying, thinking that he sees Tony. And I want Victor to look at him and be like, I don't know what you're talking about, and like smack him across the face and just break his heart.
Yeah.
I want that to be a scene in Doomsday or Secret Wars. So, all right,
I'm not looking for this to be like, oh, we're gonna bring Stark back, the good guy, but I do want that to be the connection. It's like, look, whoever you think I might be in this world, that ain't me, and you're in for a rude awakening for what I have planned for you. You know, that's what I want.
Okay. Boy.
The MCU, that's going to drive the MCU forward. And I genuinely believe the character of what's her name?
Yelena.
Yelena. Florence Pugh's character. I keep forgetting the name of the character. She, to me, is what
Poor
the
fucking Kevin.
You ain't the only one.
Female character, where you don't just need a female character, with big, flashy, special powers. We need a character that women and men can connect to and believe in and believes believable. And I genuinely believe Florence Pugh does that. She is definitely the right choice, the right face, and the right person to be that female force for the MCU. I know she truly is. She truly is the face.
Just bring her long hair
the
back.
MCU,
I love the long locks.
especially
And trust me, that's
when
not
it comes
you.
to the rest of the movie and the rest of the story. Bucky Barnes' character, I think we get another dimension of him and another, layer to him as a character. Red Guardian, like I say, he's like the father figure, the mentor figure in his own way. We've got new layers and new, to John Walker's character, US agent. Like I say, Ghost's character and Taskmaster's character, for me, didn't really get much to play with and didn't really get to show anything more than what we've already seen. I love the cinematography of this. I love how this wasn't just all balls to the wall and was just full of all about the action and big explosions. I love how they deep dive into the characters and their personal struggles and their struggles to, really heal from past griefs and situations that really have tormented them for quite some time. And it's something refreshing and something that I feel has been lost for quite some time in the MCU, to have a movie like this. I think the last movie that felt grounded and was truly character driven, outside of getting to the big explosions, getting to the surprises, getting to the cameos, getting to the big battles and, special effects, was probably Shang-Chi. I think they tried to do it in many ways with Captain America Brave New World, but for me, that just felt too flat. Where when it comes to the Thunderbolt, it feels as if it was the right balance of story, right balance of character, and just enough action to keep us going forward. And it definitely felt like going back to the traditional ways of how the MC movies used to be in the MCU, where we didn't have a movie, then we had to watch 2 television shows to get to the next movie. It literally goes back to the formula of you have your beginning, your middle, your end, and then you have a mid-credit scene, which I thought was hilarious. I loved it. Then you have the post-credit scene, which is heading into the next movie, which for those who know it's the Fantastic Four. So there's something that happens that we witness that leads into that next movie. And I just thought it was brilliant. I just thought it was a great way to just bring it back to the formula that works so.
Are you guys excited for Fantastic Four?
Yes. Me personally, yes, I am. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I'm not sure if I'm really sold on the actors that are portraying them. Like, I do like the girl because I saw her in Mission Impossible, so I do really like her. I'm not a big Pedro guy at all, except for Mandalorian. I'm not a Pedro guy. I do like the guy that is playing Flame or Torch, but like I enjoyed Chris Evans' version way better. I just don't know how this guy's gonna really do it with it. And then who's playing the Thing again?
I can't remember.
I was gonna say I don't remember who was playing. No, and see, and it says you bring up a good.
Welcome back, Sav.
Okay. No, but you got a good. But no, this is the thing that goes way back to the original Iron Man. You know, I was kind of spooked and saying, is Robert Downey Jr. going to do a good job portraying Tony Stark? I mean, I don't know. But it's all about just giving it a chance. But I mean, I'm not saying it's going to work, but who knows? But yeah, I feel as long as we see and we know that Galactus is going to be in this thing and he's going to be the size or about how big he is, he's in it. That tells me that we're going to have a good show, and I hope we do, because from what I'm looking at, it's going to be a spectacle, but hopefully it's a humanistic spectacle, as I like to say.
Yeah, I'm a little bit on the fence for that one. But I think a lot of it has to do with the cast. It's really kind of the same thing that happened with some of the DC products, because I didn't really like the actors involved. But one thing I did read was a fan favorite to play Sentry in this film would have been Henry Cavill. That would have been kind of fun.
I think I heard that. Yeah,
That would have been awesome.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
that would have been a huge middle finger to a certain
Superman. Certain, I think Goji would have really liked that.
Certain asshole down the street.
I mean, exactly. It's like because they mentioned that in Deadpool movie. I was like,
yeah. Then again, he might be in the running to play another badass hero as well.
I don't even want to get into them fucking him over for The Witcher. He was so good as that.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see.
Well, yeah, it would have been too much on the nose, but that would have still been fun.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't give a shit.
Well,
right
from the very beginning. It feels like it's not new. It's not refreshing, but it just feels great that we're getting something that we're familiar with, that we enjoyed so much from the beginning. The script, the character journeys, the cinematography all work well in this movie. There's not one bad, I would say, performance, whether people get more time to shine or not. There's not one bad performance throughout this movie. Yep. I don't really have much negative, just a lot of hope. A lot of hope that this is the right direction. It's nothing too amazing. It's nothing too out there like past MCU movie. It's just the right balance, and it's the right amount of everything we need from an MCU movie. Of course, if you're following story off from, say, the Captain America trilogy to the Guardians trilogy to the Thor trilogy to the Avenger movies, we know through each movie the spectacle and the threats get bigger, and the stakes get higher and more dangerous. And I'm sure there will be a Thunderbolts too, and I'm sure they'll lift the notch up higher for the sequel, compared to the first one, like they did with the Iron Man, like they did with the Captain Americas, like they did with the Thors. But for the first and the Thunderbolts, it's a great start. And like I say, Florence Pugh, she is the star of this movie. She, for me, is the one that is definitely going to be a strong face for the MCU for the rest of the, for the rest of what's coming down with Marvel. And that's what we need. We need a strong female character. We need an actress that can drive it and pull it in. And Captain America just doesn't do it. Nebula and Gamora, as much as they were fun characters, they weren't, I would say, leading characters. But I definitely believe Florence Pugh in Yelka might be right. I might have got it right. Yelka is definitely that character. Just like for me,
Yelena.
Scarlett Johansson and Black
Yeah.
Widow was in the first few years in the MCU. I believe Yelka is going to follow the same pattern, and it's what we need. And I can't wait to see how Bucky Barnes' journey grows and how he goes from strength to strength, because now that they've all faced their fears and doubts and guilt and, struggles, this could be, the therapy that they've needed this movie to move on to the next step of their lives, to protect the world from whatever's coming in the future. So where would I rate this particular movie? Like I say, it's nothing refreshing, it's nothing new, but it feels like seeing an old friend that you haven't seen in a long time. And as soon as you've seen it, you get a smile on your face because it felt like things we had missed and had been missing for a long time. So with that said, I'm going to give Thunderbolts 8 out of 10. I think that's a fair rating. And like I say, great performances, great story, grounded, amazing, storytelling, character building. Love who they've cast in these roles. Love to see what's coming down the pipeline with them. So 8 out of 10.
All right, 8 out of 10. Not bad. So let me go just through you guys real quick, because then I still want to talk a little bit about the future of Marvel. But Goji, what did you rate Thunderbolts for yourself?
I would also give this an 8 out of 10. Maybe, yeah, I give this about 8 out of 10. I really liked it. As far as what this Thunderbolts team is, the Thunderbolts have always been moved around, as sometimes Bucky Barnes has been in it. The Red Hulk has been in it. There's a point where the Red Hulk was in charge of his own Thunderbolts, and he was in charge with the Punisher, Elektra, Deadpool, himself. Oh, God, old man brain.
Mhm.
But anyway, and it actually got to a point where Punisher actually became the odd man out, and they were set to kill the Punisher. Yes, 4 metahumans were set to kill 1 regular guy. And they actually had a comic series where Punisher actually found out about it, and he actually went and hunted them down. So, yes, the Thunderbolts is always an evolving team in the comics. Now, one thing that they bring up in the movie is that they are the new Avengers. But Sam Wilson, new Captain America, has already trademarked the idea of a Avengers team. Well, in the comics, there's this little thing called the West Coast Avengers. Yes, we were going there, the West Coast Avengers. Now, I'm not saying exactly that with Saeed.
Sorry, I couldn't help it when you said West Coast. I just had to do that.
Now, I'm not saying that that's exactly where they're going to go with this. We're the West Coast Avengers, but that's an idea that they could possibly do. perhaps, but yeah, where there's two teams of Avengers, or like an A team and a B team. They had that in DC with the Justice League, where they had Justice League, and they had like a B team of Justice League as well. They also had Justice League Dark, blah 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 blah. Anyway, lots of fun stuff to come, and also to talk about the end credit scene. Apparently, this scene was not filmed by the crew of Thunderbolts. This scene was filmed by the Russo brothers, from reports are saying. So this scene apparently is from Doomsday. Is it in Doomsday? Don't know. These are early speculations. So yeah. So yeah, we might have seen the first 3 minutes or 3 minutes from the movie. And we might have seen a huge spoiler for said Fantastic Four movie as well. I've had private conversations with people about Fantastic Four and trying to relieve some stress about that. We can talk about it in private afterwards if you want, or if you want to talk about that now or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But
I do like
yeah.
one thing as they're going through the post scenes when they're like on the, well, I was trying to think of it, almost like when they did Bill and Ted, they were on the cover of magazines, and then you had them in the scene where they were all like in Queen, the rock band, you remember, they're all in the shadows.
Yeah.
I thought that was so great. I was like laughing my ass off so hard with that.
Mm-hmm. But one final thing I'll say about the film, yes, I give it an 8, but I loved it when Yelena just walked next to Valentina after she said, "These are your new Avengers." And she's like, "We now own your ass." And then Valentina's like, "Oh, shit, now you do." And then the movie just kind of ends there. It's like, yeah, pretty much. Also, one little fun thing, when they came back to their new headquarters and U.S. agents like, "Hey, Bob, what did you do today? You play video games and do anything else?" "No, I had some cookies and drank some lemonade." "What are you, 12? What's wrong with you?" Well, in the comics, he's so powerful. He actually limits himself to staying indoors most of the time, because if he goes outdoors and allows himself to be transformed, he's actually very dangerous. So yeah, he actually stays inside a lot. So that's a fun little nod to the comics. Okay, I'm done talking.
That's okay. Jedi, how did you feel about the film with the rating?
Well, I have to agree with Kevin's score too, because it's right up there with 8. Because it's it's as you say, it's not something new, but it is a refreshing thing to see something that is trying to what the MCU was originally, or was at a time before all this chaos with, COVID and the woke shit and all that crap. And it's like, wow, you're just going to throw all that in there, and then you're just going to destroy what the MCU was, and it's just like amazing how this film kind of did a job that unfortunately the Brave New World couldn't, I guess, because they feel like, well, I mean, we put this spectacle, we got the Red Hulk in there, so you should be gonna go in there with the flying colors. Yeah, but them flying colors they're blinding you to the fact that this is shit. Okay, this is not a driven character driven film. So this one really kind of got my hopes up pretty well, because I actually went into it with low expectations. So, but coming out of it with the fact that, can this do right? It did right with me, and I will say, add something else that what Goji said, the fact that the Russos might have directed that particular part with at the post-end scene. I have to tell you that the end of not a lot of people want to talk about it, but the post-end credit scene of Captain Marvel, that scene where we see the original Black Widow, Steve Rogers and them, that was directed by the Russo brothers. That particular scene, that was directed by them, not the director of Captain Marvel. So that could be a hint at in what we're going to see in the next Avengers film. Who knows? But hopefully they do not go down the way, because the Russo brothers have been, oh my God, the Russo brothers have been kind of shooting a shot ever since Endgame, and it's like they haven't really been hitting too much. I mean, they did a good job with Extraction, but they didn't direct that. But in directing, it's been I don't know. Hopefully, they bring back what magic they did for the movies they did before for the MCU, and like I said, just harness it and just say, okay, stop tripping, do what you're supposed to do, which is make a good story. So yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I was excited for this film. And like I said, I've been kind of battling with it because I go back between like a 9.5 to a 10. And part of that, though, is because I think that I'm already in May of 2025, and I really don't even have like a real list of best movies of 2025. Now, I haven't seen Sinners yet. I've heard a lot of great things about it, so that might show up on the list. Yeah. But I did really like this film. It does have its problems, but at the same time, I think it's the kind of film that I really like, and I don't know if Goji feels the same way I do about these type of characters. I kind of like anti-heroes more than heroes because they are problematic, and Winter Soldier is a big representation of that. And even now, like as we discussed with the people in chat and here, a guy like John Walker is another one that's very a complex character. And, Yelena, she's got her stuff, but like I think Walker and Bucky are kind of like the kind of guys that I can identify with. And even now, Sentry with Bob, like he has some stuff that you're like, yeah, I understand what's going on. Jedi was pointing to like how he felt about that scene where, he's thinking he's really alone when he's not. So, yeah, it's probably going to my best list. I mean, I would have to have like a bunch of films show up that would knock it out, and that I wouldn't feel bad if it did. It kind of happened with some films last year where I only ended up with like 8 best films, a top 10 list. So the fact that we're already halfway through the year and it's like, oh man, we don't even have like a lot of films this year that I liked. So it's going to be there for now. But quickly, as I know we're already over 2 hours here, the final question for you both is Marvel back on track? Do you think they're back on track, or do you think they're still just kind of treading water? Jedi.
I'm just gonna have to be brutally honest. Even though this movie is pretty well received, I enjoyed it. I still think they're still kind of limping for right now. It'll determine where this new Fantastic Four and the coming Avengers films do. I mean, if they do what they're supposed to do, great. But as I said, it's touch and go. We'll have to wait and see because, like I say, they've been. I mean, I thought with No Way Home and like Shang-Chi, I figured like, okay, well, they're still going pretty strong. But then after Love and Thunder, Multitude of Madness, I'm like, you know what? I don't know, man. I think I'm done with some comic book film. So we have to wait and see. We just have to wait and see. So I'll put it like that.
Koji.
I think this is a step in the right direction because this blends seriousness with a little bit of lightheartedness. It knows when to hold its jokes in, and it knows when to get serious when it needs to. And it knows how to keep your attention as well. Like most of these characters were on all of those Disney Plus shows. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch most of these Disney Plus shows, like Falcon and Winter Soldier. I didn't watch it. I watched clips of it, and I know of it, and I've read the backstory on it. But I know who U.S. Agent is. I like that character, and I've done research on what it was. Now maybe I'll get a Disney Plus account. You guys got me really interested. Maybe I'll get it. Tomorrow's my day off. I might get it and just marathon the show tomorrow. I might watch that. But like the character Ghost, I have no idea what show she came from or what movie. Was she like from like Ant-Man or something?
Ant-Man and
I don't even know. Oh, really?
Okay.
Because like I don't remember in that either. Like that's the funny thing.
Because I skipped all 3 Ant-Man movies.
Well,
So
the
it's like,
last one.
okay. Like,
I didn't see the last one. The last one I heard was bad, so I just passed.
but like that just shows, you can skip movies and television shows and go into these movies fresh up. They're almost like reading comics. You don't have to go all the way back to Amazing Spider-Man #1 to understand Ultimate Spider-Man #1 in 2025. You don't have to read Maximum Carnage to understand this other. You don't need to read every single comic to understand it. You don't need to watch every single movie to understand this. This movie, kind of held your hand a little bit, but it didn't beat you over the head with the way how this film was done. The characters I felt were all done very well, except for Taskmaster. The hell's wrong with you people? Okay. Sentry, I thought, was done absolutely amazing. I didn't think they had the guts to really go that far with them. The only complaint I had with Sentry was the only nitpick I have with it is his hair. If they gave him a little longer hair, he would have been perfect. Now, a lot of people there were complaining like the lines were on the costume. Just whatever. That's just a aesthetic choice they have in Hollywood nowadays. There's lines on costumes nowadays. It's just what it is. But like U.S. Agent, I thought looked great. That's a great updated look to his costume from the comics and in the original costume. Winter Soldier, Bucky. He's not Winter Soldier anymore. Bucky, he looks great. I sent you a picture earlier of the way how Bucky looks on a cover of Thunderbolts compared to what he does in the movie, and he looks spot on right from it as well.
I do have a real quick question with that because, obviously I don't want to keep drawing this out, but there was a reference in Black Panther of White Wolf. Does he ever become like a character called White Wolf?
There is a White Wolf in the comics, yes.
Okay. That's what I was just curious about.
So I had a lot of fun with this. I highly recommend it. Yeah. Is Marvel back on track? I feel that this was the best outing that they've had. Now that I didn't see Captain America, I still need to watch that. But as far as watching, and also this is the first film I've seen in theaters since Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. By the way, that's from last year. So anyway, I can't really speak to movies as well. So it was a fun time. Again, I give it an 8. Is Marvel back? That is subjective, but yeah, I really like the movie. So
yeah, I will recommend if you end up doing the subscription to Disney Plus, check out WandaVision. It was very good.
Yeah.
Loki is also very good, especially if you're trying to understand the multiverse, because that's really where it kind of kicks off. Yes. So those 2 series were really good. Like I said, I didn't catch the Agatha one. Falcon and Winter Soldier was okay. I was hit or miss with me, but to the main question, I kind of agree with Jedi. I think it's not really so much limping. It's just that they haven't really found a groove yet, because for every Deadpool and Wolverine, we've got Brave New World, and now we have Thunderbolts, which is back up. So it's like this roller coaster they keep going on. We're just not getting consistency with their films. I have a bad feeling that Fantastic Four will bomb. That's just my gut. I got it just from some of the stuff that I've heard people talking about. There's already like naysayers that are like really not interested in this, so it's not a good sign. It could be good. Like I went in with like Jedi, low expectations with this. I was excited for personal reasons, but I was very surprised when I looked at the Rotten Tomato scores, and a lot of people were liking it. So that makes me happy. I am happy about that, and I hope that continues, but it's really a matter of what's going to happen going forward. But I do think that because of some of the past problems that a lot of people have checked out with Marvel, they're just kind of done with it. And then you have the Samurai and Lady Fat Blood where it's fatigue. Like it's just too much. Like we're not getting enough quality films outside of the superhero stuff to really keep us engaged with movie theater experience. So unless you're just a diehard for the movies, like Jake or somebody like that go like almost every weekend, then you're not really like, for me, like I'm like Goji, like I rarely go right now, even though I've been kind of going recently. It's just unless it's really going to capture my attention, I'm just not going to go, like unless it's something that I really want to see. So anyway, I do appreciate you guys taking the time to sit down with me. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this discussion a lot. Before we go though, what are you guys coming up on your channels? Jedi, anything you've got in the plan works?
Yes, this coming Saturday, this weekend, I will be doing a live unboxing of some sorts. But also on the 17th, I got a top 10, favorite kaiju besides Godzilla, and hopefully, a couple of people who will be on there can give me their so-called, because I gotta say, top 10. There's so many comic book characters. There's so many of them out there, kaiju wise. You got to really like cement which are your top 10 that are not Godzilla. I mean, take Godzilla out of the mix. What are your top 10 from 10 to number 1?
Because everybody will have Godzilla number 1.
And go, everyone's gonna put Godzilla number 1. But let's say whatever is your second, make that number 1 and go from there. But hopefully when it comes around, hopefully people got their list and they say, okay, this is the ones I'm gonna make top 10, and we'll have a good discussion. But I do, in a way, when we do it, hopefully it's kind of like what we did with you. We did your birthday bash and top Godzilla films, but that one is, I mean, I don't think it's going to be that long, but then again, who knows? I mean, we can only wait and see.
So it's only 10. Last time we did all freaking 33 movies, and that was before Empire, and I think G versus K came out. So
yeah,
that would have been even longer had we done it with those movies.
Yeah, so we'll wait and see. But now that's what I got going on, and also I'm going to be on your Event Horizon coming this Sunday too. That's another thing. So yeah,
yep,
so that's about it.
All right, and actually, I think I'm going to do 3 p.m. in the afternoon Eastern, so that'd be 2 p.m. Walter's time, if that still works for you, because I had to try to get Kevin involved, and he's got to work the next day, so him being 5 hours ahead, I have to try to get him in there, and he's okay with that time. So as long as everyone's okay, we're good to go with that. I think there's some other people who are going to be joining us as well, but Goji, you got anything you're doing, man? Any unboxings or anything like that?
Next Friday, Doom the Dark Ages comes out. I'm gonna be doing a live stream of that.
Ooh.
I got some things on pre-ordered, waiting for those to come in. I have the X Plus Godzilla Rebirth from Godzilla vs. Destroya. I have that pre-bought, waiting for that to finally drop. I think it comes out later this month. Top 10 non-Godzilla monsters. I don't know if I can join the stream, but I'll probably do a video of my own. Yeah, just to kind of contribute to that. That's how.
You can always send Walter in like a pre-recorded video. Your top 10. He'll play it.
Right. Okay.
That's all. I might do that too, because I don't think I'm going to make that stream. But if he wants me to do it, I'll do my top 10 if you like.
Yeah, that'd be fine. I mean, like I say, the more the merrier. I mean, that's always good.
I got some doozies that might make you scratch your head, but that's all right. But
that's the fun of it.
Yeah,
that's the whole point.
Other than that, I can't really think of anything else right now.
Okay.
As for myself, tomorrow I'll be joining Kevin Lambert for his retro movie show, and I think Century will be there, and I'm not sure who else yet, but we'll be reviewing my pick of Reign of Fire, the Christian Bale, Gerard Butler film. On Friday, I'll be getting together with Big Bad Wolf. He was here earlier in the chat for the Kaiju Spotlight. We're doing King Caesar salad.
Might make me hungry.
Hey, right?
On Saturday, obviously you've heard Jedi's got his thing going there, but also Mr. Tony the Dead and I at 4 p.m. Eastern are celebrating our 50th episode, and we've kind of talked about it today. we're not actually going to consider it the 50th and 51st because we're doing 2 movies reviews. Plus, we're going to do it live with a lot of gifts and trivia. We're going to be giving away giveaway prizes for people that are joining us for that. But the movies that we will be reviewing are The Substance from last year as well as Crimes of the Future. So they're both kind of like body horror films. But we're going to do it live. Got some trivia we're going to come up with. I've got some sweet ass prizes that are going to go out to people that want to participate and win. If no one shows up, then I just hold on to them. But hoping people come out and hang out with us and answer some trivia with us and have some fun with it. And then Sunday, of course, as Jedi pointed out, Event Horizon live event with Sentry. It's basically his baby, but we're hosting it on my site. We're going to have a pretty big panel of guests. Talk about Event Horizon, the horror film from 98 or 97, I think, actually. Nice. And then finally on Monday, I had to move it from Saturday, but Monday I'm getting together a Fat Samurai guy for my Vintage Cult Cinema, which both these gentlemen have already been a part of nicely for me. But he and I are going to review 98 Soldier, Kurt Russell film. So that's going to be a lot of fun to sit down and talk with him. So that will be on Monday evening. So that's what I've got come up and immediately. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a blast. And thank you for Severio, Big Bad Wolf, Kevin, the guy from earlier. I don't really know him that much, but thanks for popping in, guys, and chatting with us. It's always fun to talk about this. I thought it was an interesting topic, a pretty cool movie. We all had different experiences with it, but came out liking it regardless. So, thanks again, brother. I appreciate you coming by, man. Always big fan of ours here.
Thank you.
But again, thank you much. Hit like and subscribe. Please visit their channels. Like and subscribe to Gojira851 as well as Jedi Velle. Both great content creators, great friends of mine here at Metal Tavern Radio. And we'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves.
Peace.